I was told that the title of this video would be a crazy title for the first video of a channel, so that's why I'm doing it. You may be a whore without knowing it. To practice spiritual abstinence and protection, one may think, I'm not a whore. I don't go around sleeping with people, hooking up with people. I don't got Tinder. It's not what I'm talking about. It's not what I'm talking about at all. You may be a whore without knowing it. You ever let someone in your life where you probably knew you shouldn't have? You probably knew that you had zero benefit of being even near them. You ever accepted somebody into your house before, like a vampire? You ever gave someone ultimate trust before they earned it? You ever shared things with people who wouldn't share things with you? Who wouldn't appreciate or even care about the gesture to begin with? You may be a whore without knowing it. What spiritually separates you from a whore when you are given your life essence, in the sense, everything that makes you you in the physical and in the fourth dimensional, in the spiritual? What physically separates you from a whore when you are giving physical pieces of yourself, money, energy, time, whatever, to someone who doesn't care about you, to someone who's just using you? What spiritually separates you from a whore when you were just prostituting yourself out and allowing everyone in, allowing everyone near your torus field, your electromagnetic field that the human heart emits outside of you? There is something called a heterodyne, and that's the sum of two frequencies. There's constructive and destructive heterodynes. A person who loves to love and a person who hates everything, including themselves. You put these people in a room or in a house. You force them to live together chaotically for 11 months, a year. Do you think any good is going to come from that at all? Do you think absolute chaos is not going to ensue? Of course it will. This is a destructive heterodyne. A destructive heterodyne is when a frequency that is positive and a frequency that is negative, the opposites of both beings, when you put them together, there is no neutral ground, because there's no such thing as neutral. That's a 3D construct, but there's no true neutral. Everything vibrates at a frequency, and every frequency is within spectrums of a range, but no frequency is the same. There is no biofrequency of a human that will be the exact same. We are all snowflakes, but within certain spectrums, which is why we can measure it out: positive, negative, and then maybe neutral. Where the fuck that is, a neutral frequency? What the fuck is that? So, back to my analogy, or I should say real life instance of me just being personal. You take someone who is full of love. You take someone who is vile, who is disgusting, who is full of hate, who lives to spite, who lives to steal, who lives to leech, who lives to destroy. Chaos will ensue. And there's nothing that anyone had to do within the third dimensional. You didn't have to physically punch a guy in the face. You didn't have to say anything. These two people were just existing too close to each other. Absolute chaos followed in the physical, in the third dimension. How can this be explained? Because the fourth dimensional perspective will show you, if you think and if you see and if you feel with it, and you let go of the ego which is then breaking the barrier to understanding yourself at a third dimensional aspect, but to a zenith to where you're bordering fourth dimensional perspective. Ego death, breakthrough, whatever the fuck you want to call it, spiritual awakening. You will see that the person who hated everything wasn't a person, that was just a demon possessing a human vessel. And if I lost you with that, oh the fuck well. I don't actually know how to convince you, because I've done away with convincing and logic altogether. I was the smartest person. I was the most logical, practical person. I had a plan for everything. I swore I was too smart for this to happen, and I was too vigilant. And I knew that if I planned enough and worked hard and strained my third dimensional vessel, my body, that things would just make itself work out, and I could make shit work out. I did this while liking some of the aspects of Taoism, which is letting life flow. You don't attack life. You don't try to force life to bend. You just match the current. So stop swimming up the current. You will lose. There's no such thing as beating the natural flow. What is natural is perfect. So still being creation. There is no defeating anything that you didn't create. There is only assuming frequency. And when you assume frequency, you are making a conscious choice, whether it be subconscious, of being good or bad. Certain actions are inherently evil. Certain actions are inherently not evil. And because they are not evil, it is good. But there is no neutral. Like right now, I'm talking to a phone. I'm at the park. Necessarily, one could argue, oh, that's not good. Yeah, but it's not evil. So if it's so far from evil, it might as well be in the spectrum of good. Is that making sense? Hold on, I'm gonna probably clip this. Some person with the babies walking by. The reason I place so much importance on the perpetual cognizance of these things is because to be ignorant is to die. In this current world that we share with people, there's only one earth, but there's about, and I'm only going to say this because this is the popular, I guess, estimate of the amount of humans. So one world, one earth, 8 billion worlds, right? So with this being said, a lot of concepts of how to navigate this world, what this world really is, a lot of different cultural twisted concepts will come to be. Lots of different strains, you could say. Lots of different pedigrees of life view, world view, philosophy, science, which can be broken down to shit just be happening, we don't know. Philosophy can be broken down to, or psychology even can be broken down to, people just be doing shit, we don't know. Yet, this has been so familiarized to people with two-dimensional minds that therefore worship the carnal, worship the physical, worship the three-dimensional. They take that and they become that understanding, that limited understanding. The understanding that is robbed of fourth dimensional perspective, the spiritual perspective that is gate-kept, culturally twisted, perverted. And then, when it leaks out, you're getting the crumbs of the burnt ends of the crumbs that are mixed in with garbage. And you think you're winning. You find, let's say a 14-year-old girl, she's fucking white. She finds out witchcraft for the first time because she spent too much time on TikTok, and now she's fucking with human bones and shit. You feel me? She's doing that shit as a teenager. You don't think she's going to garner a familiar spirit, the attention? She's becoming a beacon. Hey, kick me. She has this huge hey, big dumbass over here. Yeah, I'm fucking with shit I ain't supposed to be fucking with. I'm fucking dimension hopping, thinking I got the cheat code to life. I'm the shit right now. I feel like I'm unstoppable. And then you get raped by a demon that latches onto you and then like does not let go of you for your entire life. And you find yourself sacrificing rabbits at first. You sacrificing squirrels at first. You're a little psycho. But then you're doing weird shit. You're fucking ripping the heads off goats and drinking their blood, smearing shit all over your body, drinking piss, doing all types of shit. And you think this is the thing to do. This is the place to be because that is your worldview. That has been perverted, that has been limited. Because a person doesn't not know that a bad thing is a bad thing. They are full aware, they just do not give a fuck because they have became that frequency. Think of the most deplorable thing that a person can do. Are you thinking about it? Are you going to really sit up here and torture yourself thinking about it? Are you going to stress yourself out, raise your cortisol, raise your blood pressure, and give yourself hives because, oh, this person did this real fucked up thing. Gah! How could they? Because they could. It wasn't a why for them, it was a why not. They weren't concerned with the why, the how, the what. They just became that. When a person does something that would cause you to vomit or to cause you to explode in hatred, to them they're just drinking a cup of coffee. To them they're just taking a seat on the bench. It's just another Wednesday to them. The most deplorable, fucking terrible shit. Don't do this. Don't ferment in the low frequency actions because when you see evil, you start to think evil. And when you think evil, you become evil. Same thing for hearing it. If you do not want to be evil, if you want to spiritually separate yourself from a rapist, murderer, anything, you must not consume. You must not hear, you must not see. You must actually hide your eyes like how you would hide the eyes instinctually of your child when an inappropriate scene of a movie is playing. You don't just let that shit slide. If you're a good parent, you're not a fucking weirdo. You know that what can be visualized in the physical can make unclean the spirit. So why wouldn't you take care of yourself like you were your own parent? Because you know your parents ain't gonna be here forever. Why should you stop being coddled spiritually because your parents are dead? When do you stop becoming a beautiful soul? When do you become a person who doesn't deserve care, affection, love, tenderness? When do you stop becoming this? At what age does a human stop becoming an angel on earth, essentially, to just another nigga? Fuck you, pay me, work hard for it, earn it. You want food? Give me 50 push-ups while I record you with an iPhone and spit in your face and give you less than what I fucking told you. Anti-social shit. We assume a sense of masochism after we get pummeled with propaganda and we get pummeled with psychological abuse that turns into a Stockholm syndrome because you're a kid and you already fucking hate it now. What the fuck you gonna do? You got another 12 years to go with this shit. You're gonna do that. You're gonna find a sense of peace with it if you don't just drop out. And you are going to immediately search for the same thing that you fucking hated, which was a job, which was to be somewhere you didn't want to be and to do shit you didn't want to do all the time. And you lose yourself in it and you kind of become it. After high school, when you graduate, they want you to go right the fuck back to school and pay for it or get a job. Those are the only two things you could possibly do. There's nothing else. And throughout all of human history, we all just worked the target, right? All of us just worked the target. 1,000 years ago, we're working at Target, right? 500 years ago, everyone went to college. Everyone got a part-time gig at a fucking Euro spot, right? Shit wasn't affordable. It's always been like this. We've always been going around in hamster wheels, right? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. And I ain't falling for it anymore. And once you realize that masochism has to have a catalyst, that catalyst is sadism. It is cruelty. And all cruelty comes from weakness, low frequency. So when someone is abusing you in any aspect, in any dimension, they are just projecting. I know that sounds cliche, but think about it like this. When a person walks up and insults you, if a person hits you, This is a physical manifestation of the fermentation of their negative frequency. Therefore, they must do negative frequency things. What sense would it be for somebody to be the most hateful person ever, but then they listen to a lot of reggae, and it was like solfeggio frequency reggae too? Not happening. Wonder why? You can always tell when someone listens to a lot of rap music, and I'm not talking about Big L, not actual rap music. I'm not talking about, let's bring a newer artist. I'm not talking about a lot of Denzel Curry. I'm not talking about a lot of Joey Badass. I'm not talking about a lot of Capital Steez. I'm not talking about, you see where I'm getting at. I'm talking about a lot of rap music, which is just entertainment, if you can call it that. It's really just degeneracy. I'm going to use the word Amalekite. Let's see what happens to this channel if I use the word Amalekite. A lot of Amalekite CEOs, record labels, private prison owners. How can we pump this certain community? I'll keep it like that for now. Let's pump this certain community full of drugs that don't even originate from this country. Let's give them a bunch of weapons that don't even originate from this country, that they couldn't possibly build themselves if they wanted to, that they couldn't possibly grow and chemically alter the process of if they wanted to. Let's pump them full of that, then hypnotize them with frequency. Frequency is the most powerful weapon. You may think, nah, bro, it's my clock 19. Before all, there was, what it was frequency. Everything vibrates at a frequency. This is a universal law. This isn't hippie mumbo jumbo. I am proving spirituality with science because science is only keeping up with spirituality. Spirituality supersedes science. If you are still under the impression that you can feel greater with a firearm or a rock or a club or a sword, you can feel greater in power with that than with a frequency, you are going to lose. If you still believe in coincidences, karma, chance, luck, you are going to lose. Because once you start worshiping the carnal, as in you see the navigation of life as have, wait, hold on, do, be, have. Once you start looking at life like that and you start acting accordingly, you are placing your energy being a spiritual whore. You are letting whatever flies at you, you are letting yourself assume that frequency. When you do that, you don't come across a lot of positive ones. To assume a positive frequency just by luck, chance, the chances of that happening are so low they don't exist. So I don't see a point in going about it like that. Placing your emotional state on a physical item. You walk out of your house, you check your mailbox, you see a bill, you start hyperventilating because this is a masochistic trait that you picked up from youth. You probably started breathing a certain pace in a certain way. Started getting shallow, the breath started getting shallow, the blood started getting deprived of oxygen. So your brain is getting deprived of oxygen. You are not functioning at full capacity. On top of this, you are lowering your frequency in real time because this bill was the last thing you needed right now. And how am I gonna pay? How? Why? You start focusing on a bunch of shit that don't matter. You ain't gonna find out no way. No one knows how. How is a third dimensional construct. No one knows when. No one knows what. We can only familiarize ourselves with certain frequencies that manifest themselves, that display themselves in the third dimension, and then humans, sometimes non-humans, observe them and then put them in their own category. Depending on the spirit and pedigree of this person, this category is subject to constant change. What type of spiritual whoredom is it to worship the third dimension that whores itself out, that can't even fucking choose a flavor or a strain or a pedigree itself? These never-ending, alternating, wait, no, it was this. No, actually, it's that. Wait, no, we fucked up, it was this, it was that. I fucking love science. Why? I'm just being lied to all the time. And when I give them this perspective, oh, I just don't believe in that. I just believe in the observable. You just believe what you can stick your dick in and hear and touch. See? You're just going to act like science itself doesn't say that only 0.03% of what is observable. Is it realistic? Is it practical? Is it logical to go off a 0.03% light spectrum observation capacity? I don't think that's either of those things. Look up the definition to every single word that I just listed off and tell me if it's practical. So think about someone who could be diagnosed with schizophrenia, psychosis. These people are described as a people with a loose grip of reality, a frantic person, a person who could at times be paranoid or anxious, who could identify themselves as more than one person. When you start thinking about familiar spirits, doesn't it get quite freaky when you see more people in this day and age fucking referring to themselves in third person or referring to themselves as if they are a sum of people and not just one human? That's normal human behavior. I'm not sure, well, I'm not certain if a lot of the people who are, perhaps you will be. Mortal Kombat 9, there was a fighter called Ermac. His saying when he would, enter the fighting arena, or the stage, the level, we are many, you are but one. And his whole thing was being a either flesh vessel for a sorcerer, like Shang Tsung, or Quan Chi, like these sorcerers, these people with familiar spirits, or these evil spirits themselves. They refer to themselves as if they are in the third person, or as if they are a collection of souls. And why would a collection of souls or spirits be occupying one person? That's not how that works. That's not how that works at all. Is it a stretch to say that these people are possessed and there's no such thing as mental illness? And mental illness is just a third-dimensional construct of a pseudoscience called psychology, and psychologists are just a bunch of what do I want to describe them as? The fuck do I want to describe them as? Sociopaths that don't give a fuck about you. You know what? Let me not say that. These people are emotional or spiritual strippers or prostitutes that make them a, I guess, venting beacon. You can pretend like this person gives a fuck about you. You can pay for an emotional lap dance so you can talk to some old bitch that doesn't care if you live or die and wouldn't give you a penny if she saw you starving to death on the street. You can talk to her about your problems like she's gonna give a fuck, and then she'll just say and let you keep talking, because usually all you needed was to cry or to talk and to feel and to then think. But thinking is really just experiencing. You just needed to feel, and then when you feel, you have a breakthrough. And it's almost like the endocannabinoids in our brain. We have like built-in THC receptors, basically. You're supposed to do this. This is a holy incense. In Hebrew, quanabashim. People call it cannabis. I'm not gonna say that. That's gay. I hate that. You know what? You probably know what I was gonna say. I fucking fly in lingo. I don't like that. It's gay. All throughout history, let me get back on topic. Everyone had a fixation with this plant. Kind of see why the U.S. government really doesn't want you to have it unless they can stick their dick in it, stir it around, and mix it with a bunch of shit. Back to the point at hand, though. You can pay for an emotional lap dance and then get on your high horse and think that you're better than everyone because you went to therapy, and now you can go around the internet, you can go around in real life making an ass out of yourself. You need therapy. No, you need therapy. You're saying need. This implies scarcity. You are a scarce person. You vibrate at a scarce frequency, right? So then you go around projecting that, telling me you're being condescending. You're telling me I need therapy. I don't need for shit, nor do I want. I only have because I am. So, if you tell yourself that you need and you want, you are ripping yourself away from this fourth dimensional primordial truth of I am. And we only are because He is, in Hebrew, Yahweh. Powerful stuff, ain't it? So if our portion is to just be and have, what do you think Adam was doing? Do you think he was working at a warehouse? You think he was paying for shit? Nah, he was basically doing what I was doing, and because of that, and that was his entire life, from beginning to end, at least for the most part. What do you think his thoughts were, if he even had any? This tree is magnificent. The weather is lovely. This big ball of fire and light is mesmerizing. The grass underneath my feet is so soft. I am whole in this moment. I am serene in this moment. Do you ever think he was telling himself, I need and I want and I want and I no, because humans have this thing where they need to be shown some fuck shit before they just start doing it impulsively. They need to be corrupted. So again, if you mentally, spiritually, physically molest an entire generation with bad frequency music, pornography, vaccines, what the fuck ever, goy slop, you keep doing this to a point, and now everyone's wondering why everyone is apathetic, everyone is a whore, everyone is anxious, everyone is degenerate, aggressive. They're so against their fellow man. They have this satanic sense of individuality that is a masochistic attachment to a sadist cruelty. I find it funny how sadism sounds like Satan. Anyway, these people with nothing better to do than to project their vile filth, to just vomit everywhere, to defecate everywhere, to just cause undoing destruction, chaos. These people, Amalekites, let me go ahead and say that, they don't have anything because they are ones without soul, and they were begotten in iniquity. An iniquity of the highest form too, because it wasn't a human sin. This was a sin of angelic caliber, so a special type of retribution is going to be taking place. There's no outsmarting creation. Again, there's no destroying anything that you didn't create. What's the fucking law of conservation of energy? Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. We cannot create nor destroy energy. We can only assume. We can only have. We can only have because we are. That means concepts like needing or wanting, being scarce, all lies. They're all insidious lies that get nailed into your head by everyone around you who fucking failed at life. So now you have to fail at life. Now they have to project onto you. If a person's fucked up money-wise, they got to project onto you. They got to either leech off of you financially or start talking about your pockets. If a person is degenerate, if they're hiding something, they got skeletons in their closet, they're going to start rumors about you like a little fucking schoolgirl. If a person is threatened by you, they're going to start trying to see if they can get away with disrespecting you for free. Pushing your boundaries, pushing your limits. Do you want to know who else, or do you want to know what else is a entity that likes to fuck with shit and push boundaries for the sake of doing so? Demons. So when you see a person doing that, even in psychology, this is described as antisocial personality, antisocial behavior. You have a disorder. You are disorderly. You are out of alignment when you do things like attack someone, when you murder someone, when you rob someone, when you lie to someone, when you abuse someone in any type of aspect, right? I'm not talking antisocial and I don't want to hang out. No. You're not fucking weird because you don't want to hang around a bunch of possessed fucking demons who are reliant on substances that just enhance their shitty aspects to the point where that low frequency is being turned upward, and then in turn overpowering your positive frequency. Just because you're good don't mean a bunch of bad can't overtake you. No one is impervious. They're only disciplined. A person who works out and strengthens their body is not impervious to a weapon. They're just impervious to a weaker frequency or person, because a weaker frequency person will have a weaker body, a weaker will, You are not going to outwill a higher frequency than you. You aren't going to want something so bad as it's going to force itself to happen. You aren't going to outwork. You aren't going to swim up a current. You aren't going to swim up a waterfall. You are only going to assume a stronger frequency that is positive to then attract like a magnet what you want or what you have, because you are before anything. So next time you find yourself spiraling downward, just spiral upward. It just starts with you. You have the power of you. Sound like Mike Guy. You have the power of you. Before anything, you are. Before you think you owe or need, you got it, you are. What are you? Start asking this question. Are you a person that needs for everything? Are you a person that's scarce? Why would you want to say that, even if it feels like a lie at first? Tell yourself that you are not a person who is scarce, a person who doesn't want for anything, a person who has everything that they vibrate at, that they resonate with. You don't have to want something, you can resonate at it. You can like gold because you resonate with the frequency of gold. So you have gold. It makes sense. You magnetized it. We have a toroidal field around us. It's electromagnetic frequency. You can charge this magnet. You can charge yourself like a phone. If you find yourself charging your phone more than yourself, you're fucking up. When's the last time you grounded? When's the last time you even got sunlight on your skin? When's the last time you slept for a good amount of hours? When's the last time you started unplugging things that are emitting negative in EMF frequency that is harming you and fucking up your circadian rhythm and your hormones and whatnot? Frequency that you can't even hear, that you can't see, that you can't observe is fucking you in the third dimension. People hear a voice, at least most people. Most people. Again, I don't think it's a human trait to not have an inner monologue. If you are incapable of visualizing an apple in your head or in front of you, don't sound human to me. Humans have powerful brains that are spiritual processors and not just sacks of blood and water and flesh and pink goop. A spiritual processor that has nerves, that has circuits that emit electrical charges, that emit frequency, that manifest himself in the visible. Before I move this hand, my spirit moves this hand. My third dimension just keeps up. Because time is a third dimensional construct, you're never out of time, because more time is always the past, present, and the future. You can choose whether to devote your and invest your attention into the past. You can devote your attention into the present or the future. Which one is the best for you currently? Think about that. Which one is the best for you currently? If you are thinking currently, if you become water, you are going to flow with current. You aren't going to try to swim up past it, and you ain't going to try to outpace the water. There is no outpacing. There is no conquering what is already, because what is a physical manifestation of He is, and before anything He is. You aren't going to break through the firmament. You aren't going to swim up a waterfall. You can only assume frequency. If you choose to cause your undoing by assuming negative frequency, you can do that. Just think if that's the best thing for you currently. In some cases, people think about the most evil thing they could possibly think of and genuinely believe that that's the best thing for them currently. And it is, because they are. What are they? Evil. So, next time you find yourself being a spiritual whore and trying to save people who wouldn't save you, think about, is this the best thing for me currently? Before you smoke that pack of cigarettes and eat that cold pizza, pork on it, and then not sleep for 48 hours, is this the best thing for you currently? Are you doing this shit because you think you can be a degenerate now and then like be a good person down the line? Because what's down the line? Have you even thought about that? Is down the line tomorrow? Is down the line a second from now? Is down the line 10 years? Do you got 10 years? Do you know you have 10 years? Do you have 50 years? Even if you did have 50 years, are you going to do the same shit for 50 years? And then you're going to realize that in the present you were focusing your attention on the future, so therefore you were vibrating at a frequency that overtook the present. You weren't thinking of all the time that passed you by, all the sleep you missed, all the experiences you missed, all the health you rob yourself out of, you'll just be on your deathbed alone thinking at least the goy slop is worth it. And it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be. The goy slop made you like that. The cigarettes, the drugs, and the degeneracy of all kinds made you like that, you know? People physically manifest themselves at the frequency that they assume. A lot of people will get markings on their flesh. They will wear iconography. They will have a shirt with certain symbols on it, certain sigils on it. Do you think, let's think of a woman. You say you're a 20-some-year-old guy like me. You see a woman, right? You could think that she is physically attractive. Is that like so fucking important that you're gonna ignore that she has 2 pentagram dangling earrings on her fucking head and she has a pentagram crop top and she's wearing fishnets and fucking like Doc Marten boots, and every other thing she says, if not just everything she says, is fucking stupid, and it makes you want to like put her head through 8 layers of drywall? Are you gonna ignore this inner fucking disgust you have for her on a spiritual level? Are you going to ignore the magnetic repulsion that you have for this woman because she's physically attractive? Are you really gonna worship your carnality so much? Are you gonna be so servient upon what is physical? You aren't going to think or feel or experience anything with the spiritual, because before anything, you are spirit. You are 4th dimensional. This 3rd dimension catches up. Once you start thinking like that, you'll realize a lot of things were really fucking obvious in the moment, but in the time you were trying to outsmart what you knew you couldn't. You knew you couldn't fight that inner feeling you had, because before anything outer, there is inner. But you were too focused on investing your attention on the outer. You just completely overpowered the inner. You completely bulldozed it. You completely muted it. You just ignored it. You made yourself deaf to it. Because you made yourself deaf to it, what the fuck happened to you is what the fuck you deserve, because it's what the fuck you assumed. But there is no deserving. There's only aligning yourself to shit. And I have a saying that most people might react emotionally to at first, but then will come to realize that it makes sense. Think of a single mother of 4. She does everything right by her children. She makes no excuses. Father left, low income. She works, she works, she works. She provides, she provides, she provides. A person will think, oh, that woman deserves the world. Well, I guess what she deserved instead was to get reamed by a fucking 18-wheeler and exploded on impact. How could you say that? Because it happened. If she ain't deserved it, the shit wouldn't happen. Obviously, she deserved it. The shit happened. How the fuck are you gonna argue with that? How are you going to be so yoked to this 3rd dimensional concepts, to these 3rd dimensional concepts, and then when some 3rd dimensional shit happen, you wanna argue with it? That's not what she deserved. How the fuck are you gonna argue with it? It clearly happened. She deserved it. But did she deserve it, or did she align herself to that? Because while she was working and providing, she was fucking dying spiritually. She was feeling like shit all the time, and she never for a second thought to bring herself out of that. She never snapped out of that. She let that demon in her ear crawl into her ear and just take over her brain. So then these impulses were telling her to stay up all fucking night and to just ferment in that low frequency. Because once you do that, you become that low frequency, that negative frequency. And then chaos ensues around you in the 3rd dimension. You waste your time thinking, why, how, what? And not, let me just stop this. Because you can stop this. It might feel like a lie. Try it for 2 months. You ain't got shit to lose, because if you're watching this, I guarantee you ain't got $1 million in the bank account. At least more than likely. So try it. Just fucking try. You ain't got shit to lose. I implore you to. I don't insist, but I do implore you, because you found this video for a reason. If you're still here, and if you're even thinking of anything that isn't 100%, this guy is onto something. If you feel, I don't know, that is your ego. Your ego is being influenced to some capacity. Find out what's influencing that, and then get back to it. See how you feel before anything. Don't base how you feel on anything in front of you. And if there's anything in front of you that you don't resonate with, that you don't like, you can change it in that moment. This tree in front of me is now golden. Now it's back to normal. The bark is blue. Now it's red. Now it's green. Now it's back to its regular dark brown color. I just did that. And if there's anyone around me who wanted to argue, they would waste their precious breath and time and energy. And I would just transmute all the, you're fucking stupid! That's bullshit! I'm transmuting all that in my mind in real time. I am mentally alchemizing their negative frequency that I am fucking invoking them to have by simply being me. I am overpowering them so they get defensive. The tree is clearly not turning a certain color. That's not logical. And is it more logical to argue with the guy who was saying that a tree is turning golden? It might sound wonky, but that's literally what's happening, though. I'm looking at it right now. It's golden. And now it's regular again. Only regular to a person who would agree that the concept of my regular is their regular. Oh, cool as a rabbit. You see what the fuck I'm getting at, man. You might hear someone say, oh, well, that's delusional. What is delusional? Grind up the entire dimensions, like grind up reality itself, and then show me a speck of what is delusional. What is delusional? Show me one thing that is delusional. Or is that just a concept that someone had about what is? Because before anything, there just is. Delusional came down the line. Because when people were sacrificing babies to a bronze calf, gold calf, they weren't delusional. That was practical and realistic. That was practical and realistic. That wasn't delusional. If you think it's delusional, congratulations, you have an altering frequency than people who like to sacrifice infants. You're getting somewhere. You see how I'm using someone who would try to waste their time arguing with me? I would just use their energy against them. Be water. I just assume what is. So therefore I have what is. And if someone can't see in the moment, if I say, I am the richest man on earth right now. I am the richest man on earth right now. If someone were to come to me and be like, well, where's your Bugatti and where's your $1 million in cash? I don't need these things. I'm so rich, I do not need these things. So because I do not need it, I in turn have it. Because you cannot have what you need, because needing is scarcity, wanting is scarcity. And I said I don't want or need for shit. So if something hasn't yet been completed in a process of manifestation, of display, of transmutation from spiritual to physical, because before anything there is a process. If you think you can breathe out before breathing in, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. Fucking teach me how to do that. If you think you don't need to plant a seed in the ground and then water it and then expose it to sunlight for it to then grow, what the fuck are you planting that you look at something and the plant's just there? You're planting as you're looking. Oh, it's a tomato tree. Or that's a fucking tomato plant. It's a bonsai tree. You gotta plant these seeds. Why not plant the biggest seed in here in your mind and your spirit, and therefore your frequency? Why not charge yourself like a phone to magnetize on an electromagnetic frequential level anything physical that you want? I was told that I need a job. I told myself that I needed a job. But throughout all my years of working, all I ever wanted was things that I needed and that I wanted. I always found myself in a perpetual state of need, want. How is this the case? I'm doing everything right, yet everything still went to chaos because I wasn't thinking, I was needing. I wasn't having, I was needing. I forgot that I was, so because of this, I'm killing myself at this time. Warehouse jobs, 14-hour shifts, fast food service, 14-hour shifts. I'm working all these hours, yet still don't have any money. I'm just constantly chasing it, and I was in this hamster wheel, and now I get it. I get why I was in this hamster wheel, and this is how Amalek gets you. They don't want a nation of thinkers, they want a nation of workers. Make everyone degenerate, retarded. By the time they're in fucking middle school, they're already jacking off in class, throwing it on other students, they're already vaping, addicted to porn, and the gray matter, the prefrontal cortex, turn that brown. Deep fry it. Deep fry the entire nervous system. Fray their nerves with short-term gratification, instant gratification. Fuck them up with AI. Give them electro Ouija boards, black mirrors. Start introducing them to degeneracy in their cartoons. Start introducing them to witchcraft in their coloring books. You fuck someone up enough, they will become masochistic because this is a survival mechanism. You start to find joy in what you truly despise on the inner. You know it's fucked up. You think a person who's into some weird shit, like getting their balls stomped on, you think a person who's into like, what's that shit, I'm not saying that shit. DDLG, I'm not saying that shit. You think a person who's into like wearing diapers, like fucking 45 years old, you think they don't know that's fucking weird? Of course they are. That's why they're ashamed. Guilt, shame, that's a frequency. They vibrate at a low frequency, therefore they're doing low frequency shit. It don't matter if it's gross to you, if it's weird to you. It's not weird to them because they are, before anything, they are a person who is a low frequency. A person who wears diapers, who call themselves a diaper baby, and they're 45 years old. A person who likes to pretend like they fuck their own daughters. Fuck, man. God. Let me see how this turned out so far.